साइकोलॉजिकली स्टूडेंट्स को लगता है द सिलेबस इज आल्सो वेरी कन्फाइंड, पढ़ लेंगे अपने आप.
Correct.
प्लीज
Come.
Yeah.
Pranav.
Yes.
Yes, please take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
If you want, you can remove your mask, Pranav.
Thank you very much.
So, you have been, you are a lecturer in physics.
I worked as a lecturer as physics, sir.
Okay. You have a very interesting Malayalam literature you have taken.
Yes, sir.
So you did MSc Physics from
IIT Madras.
IIT, and then you did something else, some master in astronomy
Yes, sir.
from University of Western Ontario, London.
Yes, sir.
This is London in Canada.
Yes, sir.
Which year did you do that?
I finished it in 2017 September.
And then you were lecturer for a project associate. So why are you leaving this very, very good background of science and coming to administration?
Sir, research, when I do research, it's mostly confined to a particular area. So when I do that, it's the diversity it offers is very minimal. So if you are doing research, you cannot go. Yes, of course, you will be able to do many things, but that's always confined to a particular area. But I want to, look into a job profile which offers a diversity of opportunities and challenges, in which I can use my potentials in my aptitudes of objectivity, scientific temper and emotional intelligence, and
and emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me, how will you use it in administration? Your objectivity, your scientific temper, and
Yes.
your emotional intelligence.
So when it comes to administration specifically, if you are directly dealing with citizens or people, then you definitely need to have emotional intelligence to work
Now
with.
first tell about scientific temper.
So scientific temper, sir, it is one of the fundamental duties of our constitution to nurture the scientific temper. So when we have scientific temper, we always look into solutions which are not based on emotions but always based on scientific.
Give me a specific instance. I mean, this is general thing. I am not particularly impressed by that. Give me a specific situation that this is the problem.
Yes.
I will use my scientific temper or scientific knowledge
Yes, sir.
or capability and solve it.
Sir, when it comes to, I'm coming from Thrissur. So Thrissur is very famous for Thrissur Puram. So Thrissur Puram, it's a festival, annual festival.
Okay.
So last time when the pandemic was going on, everybody want to celebrate Puram even at the midst of pandemic. But at that time, their emotions were mostly related with religion and their culture. But they were not thinking scientifically. Their scientific temper was not the major the window through which they were thinking. So at that time, if I were an administrator, I would be taking decisions solely based on, not solely, but I will give more importance to scientific temper and the advices of the doctors before allowing a festival to happen.
Okay, very good. So tell me,
Yes, sir.
supposing, have you heard about this? There is some complaint about or some initiative taken by Zomato.
Okay.
10-minute service.
Yes, sir. Yes, I heard about it.
And there is a lot of criticism of that.
Yes, sir.
What is your view?
Sir, 10-minute service, obviously, when it comes to user oriented and when you are just looking into the customers design, to please the customers, in that way 10 minutes service will be extremely important for them. But when it comes to the security of the people who are delivering this, it is going to be a very difficult thing, especially looking into the traffic conditions of our country. And
Zomato claims that this is science-based decision.
I'm not aware of it, sir.
Can you think of some scientific basis for this decision?
I think they would be looking into using artificial intelligence and looking at how they're going, the path through which they travel. They definitely take data from their normal travel and the GPS position. They would have find that
Good.
they could actually find it.
It is a data based decision, all right.
Yes.
But what are all the things which would go in this data based decision?
So while taking this decision of
Yeah. I mean, how do they think that this is feasible? This is possible?
so they might have looked into.
They are not fools.
Yes, yes.
Mm.
Say they must have looked into obviously the data from their location. From that they would have found how
The data from their location means?
they all have mobile phone with them. So when the people who deliver the food, they have mobile with them. So you can find their location at any time. So from that the location data, you can actually find how which is the best traffic you can go, even at the peak traffic, how much time it is taking. So analyzing all these things, they may be able to.
They can reduce the travel time.
Travel time.
What about the time taken in preparing the food? That itself would be very long.
Yes, sir. So that is also there.
Yeah. We started because we were running short of time.
So that must have also been taken care. So they will have gust. They will have some artificial intelligence to give them some predictions about what is going to be the people are going to order. There will be a certain number of.
Why
things.
artificial intelligence? Why do we need artificial intelligence for this?
And generally, artificial intelligence, I use the term for covering all these things called machine learning or any of these things, which probably works on data and predict things.
No, but everything that works on data does not need to have artificial intelligence.
So yes.
Yes. What is the distinguishing factor of artificial intelligence?
So in artificial intelligence, you don't need to, the program can do things that they are not coded for. They can make so-called intelligent decisions based on the data it is provided. Normal codes may not be able to do that.
Yeah, correct. That there is a specific name for it.
I'm not aware of it, sir.
It's okay, doesn't matter. So tell me, you were talking about the telephone, and you were saying that they can find out how much time. How does the Google map know how much time it will take, for instance, to go from here to Gurgaon?
Sir, I don't know the exact mechanism. What I can guess is that they probably they already have some data of how much other people are taking, and they will have taken statistics, and they would have give you mean distance or mean time. That would be probably the way they are doing it. And they can always see the traffic coming on, looking at how fast their GPS positions of each mobile is moving. So they probably will have some mechanism. I'm not aware of it.
They are not aware. But anyway, this is a good intelligent guess.
So, yes.
Can you further build upon it?
So from that data, they will be able to, they can obviously find which path through which you can get the least amount of traffic, and they can direct the people from, they can looking at the time taken, normal time that would take, and they can find the fastest. They can find the time taken to reach there. I'm not sure how exactly.
Okay, tell me.
Yes.
What is, recently there has been a free trade agreement signed by India with some other country. Which country?
Sir, I think it is with UAE, United Arab Emirates.
Okay, yes. After that also something has been signed.
Sir, I don't remember. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
There have been a number of visits of foreign dignitaries to India.
Sir, yes.
Can you name a few more important ones?
Sir, yesterday Russia's chief, I forgot, foreign minister actually came to India.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name. Similarly,
Sergey Lavrov.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Then Dilip Singh from USA, who was the National Security Advisor of USA. So they were definitely talking about the Ukraine
National
crisis.
Security Advisor of USA.
Security Advisor to the President, I believe.
Okay. Then?
Then from Sri Lanka, I forgot who came, but from Sri Lanka, one of the top ministers came to India and to talk about the problems they are having in Sri Lanka. So that's all I remember. I need to read about more on international.
You have left out many important ones. What do you read in the visit of the Russian foreign minister?
Sir, in the Ukraine crisis, India took a stand, which is even though many of the countries were taking stands against Russia, India made a strategic autonomy by not support, even though they didn't support Russia completely, but they were not completely against it. So India definitely need Russia's support because almost 65% or more than that of percentage of our arsenal has comes from Russia. So probably they came to make sure that all the S-400 deal that's currently going on will go smoothly.
That is India's interest. Why did the foreign minister of Russia have to come?
So India is
I think there was some other purpose.
So India was currently planning to buy oil from Russia with rupee transaction. So for that, that will be really good for both India as well as Russia. They will get money and currently their revenues arenas are continuously reduced because of the sanctions put by USA. So Russia definitely have an interest in that, and also they would need India's I don't know whether it's moral support they mean, like at least in the international arena, India's continuously not voting against Russia. So probably to continue the cordial relation with Russia, India.
Okay. What can you give 3 most important reasons why India is supporting Russia? Or not supporting, maybe, at least taking a stance which is helpful to Russia.
So Russia has always been India's trusted, we cannot say partner, but trusted ally since India's independence. They helped us in our technological development even during the war with Pakistan, which led to the creation of Bangladesh. So India definitely have a good relation, historical relation with Russia. 2, India depends a lot on the arms which is imported from Russia. Most of our arms are coming from Russia, so we cannot immediately go independently out with them. 3, currently with regard to China, probably in the Asia, the one country which can have a good relation, backup for India when if China do something, probably Russia. The last one is a guess. Yes.
Come again, the last one which you say is little confused.
Currently in the Asia, the most important the South Asia, important powers are India and China. But if and China is
not in South Asia.
No, yes.
Okay.
So
in Asia,
Asia,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
So when China is trying to build their hegemon over here in Indian neighborhood, India definitely needs the support of Russia to counter it somehow. But Russia currently has a strong leaning towards China, so India would definitely want to, keep it away, keep it at a balanced distance with India.
Okay, very good. Tell me one thing, Pranav. My last question: what is Heisenberg principle?
So Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, as it called. So when it comes to any physical variable like momentum and position, you cannot measure both of them simultaneously and accurately at a quantum level. That this is not something a measurement issue; it is something more substantial, something more fundamental. So similarly, you cannot measure between energy and.
So why you cannot measure?
So it comes from the property called there is something called non-compatibility of operators. That's the most technical term. What it means is that when you have something like position of a particle and a momentum of particle, for example, position along the x direction and momentum along the x direction, these cannot be compatible. So that is that essentially I will give you a but simpler example rather going to the technicalities. It comes from the idea that the wave nature of the particle. Every particle have a wave nature. So when you have that amounts to when you try to squeeze into one place, momentum will increase, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
So, thanks.
Pranav, you have excellent academic backgrounds, physics, and then MSc in astronomy from Canada.
So yes.
Don't you think that you would be better suited for ISRO? Why should you come to IAS and waste your talent here? Country would be more. It will be more beneficial for the country to have you there.
Sir, of course,
DRDO, ISRO.
so of course working in ISRO would be an extremely honor, but I believe I want to work in an area which can offer very diverse opportunities and challenges. If working in IAS can, I can even work for the scientific advancements of country, even sitting as an IAS officer. But at the same time, I like to work in other areas which I'm interested. Working for the social development of.
So much of specialization would be wasted. A history graduate can also become secretary science and technology.
Yes, sir.
So he will also do the same job which you will do as a specialist.
Sir, I believe whatever I learned so far will definitely have I can use that knowledge in my as a capacity as an administrator. With science, when it comes to physics, the kind of code, the things I have learned, like data analytics and data processing, which definitely will have an implications in the coming the administrative challenges in the future. Even the astronomy, I believe learning.
How many exoplanets we have discovered so far?
That is around confirmed number is around 4,000 mostly by the Kepler observatory.
Or more than 5,000?
More than 5,000, but as far as I remember.
Now, how do we discover exoplanets? What is the technique by which we discover?
So there are generally three methods we use. One is direct observation, which is very difficult.
We can't observe a planet.
Yeah, which is very difficult to do. But the most important.
No, you said one. I don't think even one planet has been discovered like this.
So what they say is that this is generally, they say that there is a possibility of observing one directly, but that is not possible. Mostly they do
You are a science student.
Yes, sir.
Be specific.
The generally
one way, you said one way.
One is transit method, other is barycenter
so there is
method.
No way one way. One doesn't exist. There is other way. Okay, so first is gone. You directly cannot observe a satellite, a planet
exoplanet
on a
star
revolving around a star at a far off place.
So this is transit method. In the in the transit method, so when there is a star, bright star is there, if the planet is going around it, so the intensity reduces.
Yeah, no.
And barycenter method.
Got it. You also mentioned about GPS positioning system while answering this question.
Sir, yes.
So, which theory of Einstein, relativity theory, comes into picture in terms of GPS?
I believe both will come, but more substantially the general theory of relativity, where the gravitational effect of gravitational effect will be lesser, which will have an impact on the clocks on the GPS satellites.
How did solar eclipse help prove Einstein's theory of relativity?
Sir, according to Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity, light travels through space-time which has a curvature. So anything which has a mass.
Leave it. I know you know your subject very well. So let us come to other subjects now.
Sir, yes.
What is pseudoscience?
Pseudoscience, which tries to which is actually wrong, but they try to be scientific.
Any example? Recent example?
If I can say something like, there are many things that coming into the WhatsApp. There is something called WhatsApp.
No, they are not coming on WhatsApp. They are coming
from
by the mouth of many respected people.
Yes, many people say that so for example, temple is situated in a particular place at magnetic field of the earth sets, so that the magnetic field will come to you and that will give you energy, which is essentially non-scientific, but it is spreaded as truth by even very eminent people. But I believe more.
What else is pseudoscience?
For example, if I can find an example, like during coronavirus pandemic, many unscientific methods were given by many people at the highest level to eradicate corona. So
which highest level?
For example,
don't shy.
For example, even from the Prime Minister's office, they were saying that people you should be the banging of thalis will the vibrations will help you kill the coronavirus.
I don't think he said this.
No, it's like it was spreaded like that. I'm not saying that he said it. It was spreaded like that.
Is different. He said that.
Yeah, to
encourage the health workers, to motivate them.
So yes.
So what is wrong in that?
So that is nothing wrong in that. But the problem is it was spreaded like when you do that, you will get.
If you are not able to give me some correct answers, I will give you some.
Okay,
one member of parliament who was a minister also, he said that we were born as men. Darwin's theory should be removed from the syllabus, and he didn't believe in evolution. We didn't evolve from monkeys. We were men.
Okay.
Leave aside who said this.
Yes, sir.
Then another one said that cow dung will protect us from nuclear radiation.
So, yes.
if you smear cow dung on you, you will be saved from a nuclear radiation in case it is bombed, say
Yes.
a place is bombed. Then another one says cow inhales oxygen and also exhales oxygen.
So, yes.
And there are so many of them.
So, yes.
I can go on repeating them.
So, yes.
Are they not examples of pseudoscience?
So, yes, obviously. They are also examples of pseudoscience.
So did you know about them, or you avoided them?
No, sir. I actually didn't remember them. Some of them. Yeah, I remember. I think I tried to tell about the cow dung thing with respect to corona, but not with the.
Okay. Now another question is that, are there individual assertions of people who lack scientific knowledge, or there is a design behind it?
When it comes to when after the.
Or do you see a pattern in it?
So I definitely see a pattern sometimes. When it comes to social media, people generally just believe whatever it comes into that, and there are some people people who actually use that to spread misinformation among the public. So that definitely needs to be looked into.
Spreading comes later.
So
People make certain statements.
Yes.
Is there a design in making that statement? Spreading is okay. Of course, people will use it to their advantage.
That happens in both ways, sir. Sometimes it is, they design it. If they want to send us, misinformation, they definitely design it, do it. Other times, some.
Why should certain politicians try to send this misinformation?
Probably to garner some.
That to form a particular political party only, they are saying.
Sir, probably it will have some implications in their vote bank or something. So it will. There is something called probably a part of their social engineering or something like that. There has been many theories coming recently that political analysts use social engineering to change the people's voting pattern and all. So similarly, it would have some. At the end of the day, I believe that all comes to how it can be gained politically by many. It's not just one particular party, sir. I have seen many party members saying the same kind of things, misinformation, using that to garner voting.
Okay. What is there for a poor farmer in a village?
Sir.
What does he gain from the space research, sending moon missions, Mars mission, satellites?
Sir.
What does he gain? I think the taxpayers' money is being wasted there.
Sir, in my opinion, whatever the money you are spending in space science, space technology will definitely have a direct impact on the life of a common people, even like a farmer. Because currently, almost we are predicting of the monsoon with we can predict monsoon so clearly that they can arrange their cropping times and etc. accordingly. So that directly comes from the satellite imagery and satellite technologies. So and also we can predict disasters like cyclones. 20 years ago, what happened in Odisha when the when the cyclone came, it almost killed 10,000 people. But the last year, 2 years back when it came, on less than 100 people lost their life.
Okay, I'll ask the last question. What is pale blue dot?
So pale blue dot is an image taken by Voyager 1.
You know it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Pranav.
So yes.
You watch series, web
Yes.
series.
So yes.
Your favorite web series, 2, 3 that you liked.
So the first one is Game of Thrones. It is currently it's not running, it's over. The second one is recently I watched The Rocket Boys. It is a life story of both. It's not exactly a life story. It is a historic fiction of Vikram Sarabhai and Homi J. Baba. And third one is, I would say, Friends. It's an American sitcom.
Okay. Now, because sir was talking about Heisenberg,
So yes.
there's a famous web series.
Yes, I haven't watched it yet. I'm waiting to watch it.
Waiting. It's
Yes.
already done. It's over, right? So, which is that web series that I'm referring to? Heisenberg as the protagonist.
Sir, I don't remember. Actually, I don't remember that. I'm hearing about about this series coming about it. I haven't
There's
watched
a
it.
famous web series.
Oh, the Heisenberg as a central character.
Yes.
Oh, that's Breaking Bad.
So have you seen it?
I watched the first 2 seasons and I was not hooked into it at that time.
Okay, fair enough. Fine. Okay. Now there is something called Collective of Women in Cinema,
So yes.
Kerala.
So yes.
This one actress called Parvati Tirupati
Yes.
who's leading that movement.
So yes.
So what is wrong with Malayalam cinema that there is a need of such a collective of women protagonists to form it?
So generally it's not just about Malayalam cinema. Essentially patriarchy is part of everything that we see in our society, and it definitely have implications in the movie industries also. Immediately after there was an attack on a female actress in Kerala that by a sexual attack on a lady actor in 2018, 17 actually, and after that there have been there have been many discussions going on to make the movie sets and movie arena more gender neutral and gender sensitization among them. So women in cinema collective, they wants to do that. They wants to implement the ideas like the sexual harassment at workplace and how to deal with that in the movie industry. So the WCC is about that, and after that they put a there's a commission was set up by Justice Hema, and she submitted a report. And very recently, yesterday, the minister was saying that they are planning to make that into a law, the law based on Hema committee report. So I think whatever happening at the movie industry is actually really good. That is going to have a positive impact generally.
Okay. And since you are into creative writing also,
So,
okay, and you highlighted the fact of patriarchy existing across India, not just in Kerala per se. Any recent movies that you've seen have dealt with this issue, especially Malayalam cinema?
So one of the best movies that I watched in the last decade is The Great Indian Kitchen. It is directed by Geo Baby. It is talking about the daily life of a woman, how they are spending it in kitchen, and men are not aware of it. So it's all about toiling in the kitchen, forgetting about their dream, and how she's coming out of it. I believe that it is one of the movies that should be given as teaching material for gender sensitization among the students across India.
Okay, fine. This is one movie. In fact, let's say even in LBSNA, the movies are screened.
So yes.
It's Shanghai. Similarly, just like Great Indian Kitchen, can you suggest a couple of more movies that can be part of the curriculum in, let's say, higher secondary school or later in colleges also? From your maybe Malayalam cinema itself, or beyond Malayalam also?
Sir, I believe Article 15 is a movie in Hindi. It should be shown among the students to understand about our idea of how equality and discrimination is, how our constitution is dealing with these things. And that movie is actually looking into how the life of villages and how caste is still an issue in many places in India. So the students need to know the reality.
Fine. Any other?
Sir, I can give you a lot of movies where they should watch and say that this should not be the life also. Like for example, the movie, one of the most famous movie in Malayalam is The King. It's a movie starred by Mammootty. So there are some references to women, and which have been celebrated, like women should not be doing this, women should not be doing that, and they should be published in schools to say that this is not right. I mean, like you should.
Okay.
So, yes.
Fair. Now, again, coming to creative writing, your interest. There's a lot of work from Kerala per se, whether it is movies, and many of the movies winning national awards on a regular basis.
So yes.
And a lot of movies getting a lot of traction with the OTT.
So yes.
And also a lot of movies being remade into other languages also.
So yes.
So what is so special about Kerala as a society that so much of creative writing is happening? Does it have something to do with the peculiar nature of the society of Kerala?
So, if you look at the recent boom of many Malayalam movies coming to attention into Indian, not just in India, in the international area also, that happens in the last 1 decade. Before that, there was between 2000 to 2010, this was happening the other way around. Malayalam movies almost all movies were very comparatively, considering what's they're doing, or most of the movies were very bad. It's all about hero worshipping and all. But there was something changed in around 2010. More reality, more new directors came into the picture. More production companies were coming. They were trying to support movies which are more diverse and more dealing with not just about hero worship but real issues of their life. It's all started from a movie called Traffic, if I remember correctly. And after that, there came a flow of mini movies, which then eventually, after the OTT, everyone in the world actually starts to appreciate.
Fine. Again, my last question is to do with again OTTs.
Sir.
There's a discussion on regulating the OTT content.
Sir, yes.
Now, even if you believe that there has to be some sort of regulation,
Sir.
do you think it is practically possible to regulate? Do we have a paraphernalia to go through lakhs of hours of content and then decide whether this should be part of it or not? Can that be done? Because otherwise there are a lot of proposals that government is planning.
So government is currently the OTTs are controlled regulated through IT Act 2000. But now government wants to put some age restriction based different file certification. That's what if I remember correctly, for the movies. But whether we be able to check all this content coming to the social media or the OTT platform, it may be very difficult. We have to depend. We have to trust we may have to take a trust approach with the OTT platform itself, how they are dealing with it. So, and later we need to have a regulatory mechanism where you have a proper complaint grievance redressal system. But also definitely, as I said earlier, with artificial intelligence we will be able to make some predictions on, not just prediction, we can actually go through many videos and see whether they are suppose we have a sexually explicit content and it is certified as certified for under 13. So that can be that kind of things can be solved through the new IT infrastructure.
Okay,
Social.
fine. That is it.
Thank you, sir.
So, hello Pranav.
Hi.
Pranav, I see a very interesting dab in front of me. Now, first of all, like Sir was asking you a question at the onset of your conversation with Sir. You said that you have the right aptitude, the emotional intelligence,
Sorry.
and a scientific temper to be a
Yes.
civil servant. Now, among these three things which you yourself quoted, what sort of an aptitude do you think you possess to be a successful civil servant?
Apart from this,
Aptitude you did not talk about.
Sir.
What's a set of aptitude skills like? How do you say that you have the right aptitude to
Okay.
be a civil servant?
ma'am, I believe that I have I have a really good problem solving skill. I am good at looking, I'm good at finding
The
creative
skills which
solutions.
you're talking about, do you think they belong to aptitude or you're talking about attitude?
Creative thinking and I believe creative thinking as well as problem solving skill comes under aptitude.
First, you try to differentiate between attitude and aptitude.
Aptitude is something that you possess from your birth, that you may be able to better it by practice. Attitude is how you perceive different things in the society, different things.
Okay.
So if I have a good problem solving skill, which is my aptitude to solve problems,
That's aptitude.
Yes.
And
Similar.
then attitude?
Attitude is how I perceive different things. So my attitude is I always try to have an optimistic attitude about things. I'll try to I'll always have a positive attitude that I can solve. I can find a solution for it. Even if I cannot solve it, I should be able to find an amenable.
Okay, Pranav. Now, what set of emotional intelligence skills you think you possess, and that can make you a very successful civil servant down maybe 5 to 10 years from now?
Ma'am, I can always be empathetic about I can always show empathy, and I can always think in their perspective of other people.
Pranav, sorry to interrupt you. Somehow I feel that a very stark and very strong scientific temper
So,
sometimes comes in between your emotional intelligence. Am I right or am I wrong?
so you mean that scientific temper can come against your
Emotional intelligence.
It is also possible, but sometimes you can become too objective. Becoming too objective means sometimes you miss the emotions of the people. So I believe that's when you need to have a balance of whether you are just objective or you are having emotional intelligence.
But you mean to say that objectivity can be a secondary aspect? You have to give more weightage to emotional
See,
emotional
sometimes
intelligence.
if you are in a charged environment, like suppose it's you are in the middle of a riot, at that time you cannot just talk about objectivity alone. You'll have to look into the emotions of the people, how they are dealing with that, and you need to address that emotion also. If you start to address that emotion, they will start to respond to you more objectively. Then you can reason with them.
Okay, Pranav. Pranav, I give you a situation. Since you are a very good, I should say, you are into physics, deep core physics, you are an MSc degree holder as well. If I give you a situation, because nowadays we are seeing the NCRT books and all, every now and then there have been made some changes in the content, in the syllabi of many books.
Ma'am, yes.
Now, if I give you a situation like if you being at a senior post in the HR ministry, and you are given, you have to hold a meeting and give ideas about how to nurture interest and develop the interest in the students categorically in physics.
Okay.
Because I see a dwindling interest of students in subjects like physics and mathematics.
Yeah.
So, how will you deal with that? What proposals will you make for that?
Ma'am, see, when I started learning physics, what I felt was most of the time physics is learned only through in the classroom with equations and just theory part. At the school level there is no practical applications of physics normally happens. So what we essentially need is like adult tinkering labs. We definitely need to have a much more interactive study of the subject of physics from early times itself. Or you can the mathematics part is very important for physics, but at the same time to kindle the curiosity among the kids, the most important part is practical application. So I will suggest syllabus which is more application oriented. That is the first thing that I would do, and I will definitely make with all the teachers training focused on scientific temper. I know that many of the teachers also do not have that scientific temper.
Okay, Pranav. Now, my another question to you: what are your strengths and weaknesses, and what are your strengths? Number one, as to why you should be chosen for your strengths as a civil servant. Then we'll talk about weaknesses.
Ma'am, as I said earlier, I believe that I have really good emotional intelligence.
Apart from those which you've already discussed, anything pertaining categorically to the civil services?
Ma'am, I'm an honest person. I believe that I'm a person of integrity. I want to do what I think and what I say. So I believe that every civil servant should have that quality, because that essentially increases the trust to the administration and trust.
Okay, Pranav. So, what are your weaknesses for which you should not be chosen as a civil servant?
Ma'am, I'm a very untidy person. If you enter in my room, it's very untidy.
But tidiness, I
so
don't think comes anywhere in between you being a civil servant.
I need to be I need to be very organized when dealing with administrative things. So I need to nurture that habit to make it more organized.
Okay. Okay, Pranav, my last question to you. You got a first rank in the Malayalam story writing competition.
So, ma'am,
What
yes.
was the title and what was the gist of that story for which you got the first prize?
Okay, so the title of the story was Uttariyangal. Uttariyam means the upper shawl the men wear, or men or women generally wear the shawl. So Uttariyangal, it's about a woman who is going back to her village, and she's analyzing how her life was. So it's about whatever the mistakes she made, whatever whatever she valued, and how the things she valued when she was younger, and how that changed. The value system inside her changes. So all these things she's analyzing when she came back to her most personal space, which is her home. Her house is near to a beach, and she is very fond of sea. So she considers herself, she considers sea as her mother. She sits behind the sea and thinking about her life. So it essentially goes through the minds of that woman.
Okay. Thank you, Pranav.
Okay, thank you. Pranav, you actually you sailed through this interview very confidently. I must compliment you for that.
Thank you, sir.
You have a very good knowledge base,
Thank you, sir.
and you also have an ability to think and reply. So there were many questions like the use of Google phone, how they figure out the traffic condition, and on Zomato. I think you didn't know the answer per se, but you thought and came very close to what the right answer was. And I also think that you showed a lot of generally a sensitivity to various issues and which the administrator encounters.
So yes.
So I would say from all these things, I am quite sure that you would do very well. And
Thank
in
you, sir.
fact, your aptitude and attitude, etc., you were mentioning, I think, I think it kind of from your the personality as one sees it in the interview, it kind of matches with that. I will only say one word of caution that people who are doing well in the interview sometimes get carried away by their success,
Okay, sir.
and then they say something which suddenly brings them down considerably.
So yes.
So I think you have that flaw.
Okay. So about the PMO.
Yes.
Got it
Because
right.
you were doing well, and
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that was very bad.
And noted down.
Even I am not. In just the spot of the moment, he just.
you thought that you see, in administration it's like this, that if you are doing very well, then you must maintain that even the pace at which you are going.
Mhm.
Don't get carried away at that time, either by overconfidence or sometime by depression or disappointment.
Sure.
That is an important thing. Second thing here, the other thing was that you became reckless, because the question was about pseudoscience and how some example of. Now you may or may not agree with that tactics to rally people around an idea or whatever, but nobody ever said that this will, I mean, at least not the PMO didn't say,
Yes.
or the PM didn't say
Yeah.
that this will cure or make corona go away. It was shown to be some way to kind of rally the country behind
Motivation.
Yeah.
More
So,
motivation.
yes.
So so you were factually wrong,
Yes.
and you got carried away, and this is something which you need to avoid.
Sure, sir.
So
Sir.
be very, very whatever you have displayed was good, but I think overconfidence can sometimes. There are some people, when I observe that overconfidence is the biggest risk they have.
Sure, sir.
They have no other enemy but themselves.
Okay, sir.
So I think otherwise you can have a very smooth sailing,
Sure,
but
sir.
guard against yourself.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Pranav,
Sir.
what I thought would be difficult for you was easy. Usually I have seen that the core subjects, they do not know. That is the reason I skipped those, because the moment you uttered the sentence, I knew that you know the complete thing. So thereafter I didn't ask. And what I perceived was a simple question, there you got bald, sort of. So you have to be very careful.
Sure, sir.
On that, sir has already explained. I don't want to add anything on that. Many questions are likely to come up with respect to physics, astronomy, and why you want to go there.
Mhm.
Because the country is really in need of good scientists and good people in space research. So the reasons when you give that you want to go in IAS, then you can do. I think you have to be little more explicit on giving the reasons.
They were quite
Okay.
generic.
Okay.
Something like that. Rest all is good. You are an amazing person as far as the knowledge goes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, just to add, see, you're a very sportive and cheering person. Okay, all through that was visible. A very strong point of yours. And yeah, you have to be careful of certain things. I noted down the PMO, and possibly to an extent, WhatsApp University,
Okay.
like with a condescending tone on that, might reflect as if again it is
Again, overconfidence.
Similar
You are showing some familiarity with the board, which is not justified.
Okay.
Okay, so be
Sure.
careful, that might be
Sure.
perceived as similar on a similar
Arrogance.
lines as what you refer to as with PMO.
And also WhatsApp University is being used in a particular context.
Mhm.
So you can say the social media or
Okay.
whatever.
Yes, yes.
Sure,
That's
sir.
right. and here and there, only if you can change. Otherwise, if it is part of your regular lingo, it's okay. You try to use that Madam C. Madam C. That C word might be little
Ma'am.
be pitching C, or as I said earlier, as if Madam was not putting into all
Okay.
those things. See, you have not put those things. I'm again saying I've already told that. Right?
Okay.
Possibly if you can avoid
Sure,
these
sir.
things,
Sure, sir.
otherwise you should do well otherwise.
Thank you, sir.
Pranav, absolutely, I agree with all the reflections made by the members. Just to add a few, like I asked you about the gist of the story for which you got a prize. Now I asked you the gist. So try to pick up a few words which actually summarize the whole essence of your story.
Okay, ma'am.
Probably it was something related to life of a woman or women empowerment or something like that.
Sure.
So try to bring
Sure.
that on board.
Sure.
Okay, so number one. Number two, you were a little confused between aptitude and attitude.
Okay.
So just try to brush up those areas. They are very much there in your GS4 syllabus. Okay, and then how will you basically, that question I asked you, that how will you nurture the interest in that scientific fervor in our
Sure.
young generation in the schools or maybe in the university areas. So try to differentiate between school education and higher education.
Okay.
So be more, methodical in your answers.
Okay.
So sometimes your answers look very generic. Don't make them generic. Try to be very specific.
Sure.
Okay. So that leaves a good impression on the members.
Okay.
That's
Thank
all the best.
Good. All the best to you, Pranav. When is your interview?
April 22nd.
Oh, good. There is enough time. In the meanwhile, read the newspaper regularly.
Sure.
Good.
And otherwise, whether you're planning to have a shave or
So I had that doubt. So when I asked about that, they said either I should look for the how I look in the photo, or I should be
No, photo has nothing to do with it.
okay. So I should
No,
be
no.
plain
I
shave.
think you should shave if you.
you don't have enough beard to sport it or trim it. Neither is it.
Okay.
So if this is what is
So,
the
and-
amount of stubble you have, it is
Whatever you are comfortable with, but don't go with a stubble, because that is again a sense of showing degree of familiarity,
Okay.
which will not be liked,
Sure. Sure.
because this is more like a kind of a fashion statement.
Okay, sir. I'm not very comfortable in shave. Anyway, I will do that. Anyway.
And mustache also, if you can trim
Sure.
it little.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
All the best.
All the best.
Thank you.